Hi, I'm Ryan Mosley with NP Dodge Omaha, and welcome to part one in the series on buying a home. There's a lot of pieces and parts that have to come together with buying a home, and it's important to understand each of these little pieces so it can go through, your transaction can go through smoothly. Today we're going to talk about homeowners insurance. Later on we'll talk about financing, we'll talk about warranties, inspections, all the other components that go into a smooth home sale. These videos are going to be brief, intended for just kind of an overview of the topic, and obviously if you have other questions, reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer those myself later. Today we're going to talk about homeowners insurance. I'm here with my good friend Ryan Rourke. He's from Farm Bureau Financial Services, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the insurance piece of buying a home and some of the components that go into that. So thanks for being here, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself to start?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, husband, father, been in the insurance business for about 7 years. Really enjoy it. I love that I'm able to help people on a daily basis, whether that be buying a home, insuring a vehicle, or setting up life insurance. Been in insurance for about a decade now. Before that, I was in the restaurant business for a number of years as well. Really enjoy music, really enjoy helping people out.
Cool, thanks. So for first-time home buyers, they really don't think about the homeowner's insurance as much as the financing and the house itself. Sure. What are some things they should be thinking about with homeowners insurance?
So basically there's a lot of different stuff for the home that we can talk about. One in particular that really jumps to mind is the roof. The roof is probably the biggest pusher for premium on a home policy. You have an older roof, it's going to be a little bit more. If it's a newer roof, it's probably going to be a little bit less on your premium. Another thing you want to check too is what type of shingles you have, whether you have a 3-tab shingle or an architectural shingle. Now your 3-tab shingles are kind of a longer strip. Most homes have the 3-tab shingles, completely made of asphalt, good. They're 10 to 20 year shingles. If you have an architectural shingle, they're a little bit better. They have about 50% more grit to them, and they last about 10 years longer. A little bit more expensive to replace those, but you get more life out of your roof. Right. A couple other things on that is the another piece would be the water service line, or like your sewer line, the line that runs from underneath your house to the street. Now that is actually an expense that a lot of people don't even know that can happen. I always tell folks, do you have a tree? Or ask folks, if you have a tree in your front yard, you should really consider this coverage. Because if roots grow into that sewer line and break that sewer line, a lot of homeowners policies don't cover that. I know my insurance carrier does, and it's a standard flat deductible, $10,000 of the coverage, because that's basically the amount it costs to repair that line when something like that goes wrong. And there's other issues too. You're out of water for days at a time. You have to coordinate with MUD and different service providers to kind of get that service work done. But that is definitely another piece too. We also try to tell folks, look at the cosmetic damage portion when you're looking at homeowners policies. There's some carriers actually out there that don't cover metal pieces getting damaged from like hail or windstorms or stuff like that. And it's called cosmetic damage. If it's not an actual damaged piece, they're not going to replace it. Not every carrier is like that, but it's important to know what you're going to get at the time when you file that claim. Really, one of the last things is the industry changing. That being said, you're seeing rates higher than ever as of late. Just be a savvy consumer, educate yourself, talk to your insurance agent, be proactive and reach out. But yeah, those are a few things.
So on one recent transaction, I was part of helping a new couple find a new home. The roof was an issue. Sure. When the appraisal went through, they found the roof was 20 years old, had to be replaced. So is that something that they couldn't be insured on that house unless it's replaced first?
It depends per carrier. A lot of carriers out there are going to ask you to have that roof replaced and insured for prior to binding any kind of policy like that. There's some that won't, but it's what I always tell folks is the carriers that are asking you to do those things are probably the ones you want to go with, because those are the folks that are really looking at your risk as something they can manage. Okay. So in that sense, it's not always a bad thing.
Okay. So when it comes to shopping the different insurance companies, Farm Bureau, where is that going to fall as far as price compared to competitors?
Yeah, that's a great question. I spend a lot of time running quotes. I run quotes pretty much all day. So I get to see what a lot of other companies are doing. My company is not the cheapest by any means. We're not the Dollar Tree of the insurance world, but there's a reason behind that. I've worked for a few different carriers, and they're all really great. They all have their niches. They all have great reasons to be with them. My reason that I went to Farm Bureau was really that the claims and adjusters process that I had seen with other companies, I wasn't sold on. It was hard for me to stand behind that. Now that I'm with a company that I feel I can stand behind that, I feel the product sells itself. Yeah, it might not be the cheapest product in the world, but what you're getting out of that is local people right here in Nebraska and Iowa, really, boots on the ground. You're not getting somebody from a different state or even a different country to talk to your problem. We settle claims quick, we settle claims efficiently, and really what we're trying to do is make you back whole. We want to get you back to your life, and we want to do it as fast as possible. Also, that being said, we're really meticulous too. I have a massive staff behind me, not only just in my office, but we have a lot of corporate resources. And because my corporate headquarters is in Iowa, we're hours away. And I've talked to the COO. I've talked to several different people in our company. They're very grounded. All of them genuinely want to help people, which is great. But really, at the end of the day, for me, it's the claims, the adjusters being local, and the fact that you get something and not everybody else gets, and that's myself and my staff.
One thing that impressed me, I was talking to one of your coworkers the other day, and she said that when you get your policy renewed, she actually calls her clients and says, here's what's different.
Oh, yeah.
Versus, I just get a 60-page packet from my insurance company,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what's different, what's old, what's new, and so that's one thing that kind of impressed me.
Oh, yeah.
What are some issues other things that besides the house that impact your rates?
Great question there. So really there's a lot of things that can go into that. Location, age, but the two things that really I think stand out the most to me is your credit and your insurance score. Most people know about your credit score and the impacts of making sure you're financially responsible, but there's also an insurance score associated with that. And some of the underlying things with that is, do you change insurance more than once a year? Have you had multiple lapses in insurance? Another factor is, have you had multiple claims? Have you had multiple losses? Insurance companies look at those things because really they're just making sure that they're making a great investment in you. Because insurance companies are doing that when they're writing policies, they're investing in you. For that worst time that happens, they're going to pay out.
Right.
So
can a consumer look up their insurance score like they can their credit score?
A little more difficult. I'm really open with folks. I talk to them about it. It's all their information. So it's also good too, because there might be a claim that, let's say you had a claim a couple of years ago and it falls off soon. When it falls off, more than likely that rate's going down. So actually being proactive with the client, the consumer, and telling them like, hey, this is what you got in your record, but that's great. At this point in the future, that will fall off and you should see that premium fall down.
So you can improve your insurance score kind of like your credit score.
Yeah, you can make some of those changes. Really just the big thing I always tell people, don't have a lapse in coverage. Find a way to never have a lapse in coverage. That'll always shoot you in the foot.
Okay. So for new homeowners, obviously those are some important issues to think about. What about somebody who's been sitting in the same house for 20 plus years?
This is a great question. I feel I get more 20-year customers than I do new homeowners. One of the reasons being is I'll sit down with a super check with them. Like you mentioned, Kelsey, that reached out to one of my clients. Not only do we do that, but we'll sit them down and we literally go through all of the changes with you. Sometimes it's hard to get folks in for that, but really it only benefits you.
Right.
We'll talk through what you have going on in your life and really how to kind of pivot and make those changes for you. Can we drop a deductible down? Can we add coverage because you've added a nice patio or a gazebo in the back? We really want to make sure that we can get all those pieces set for you there.
Okay. So finally, I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned this earlier, that insurance rates are going up across the board, regardless of company. What do you think, what's causing all of this, and what's your take on all of this? Where's it going to go?
So yeah, I spend a lot of time talking about this, not only to clients, but I speak a lot every week about how our industry is changing. Really, what has happened in the last 4 or 5 years, you've seen the price for, we'll start with auto, the price for vehicles just went through the roof. And what that really happened is when everybody was at home for COVID, a lot of folks took their driving habits down. So when I'd say, I'd usually drive 10 miles to work and then 10 miles home, well, I'm working from home now, so I don't need to do that. So these companies were charging less premium for those policies. Well, what really happened at the end of the day is people were still driving, and there was a good number of accidents that happened in 22 and 20.
They forgot how to drive.
You know your words, and I won't disagree. But that coupled with the fact that cars aren't what they used to be anymore. You got a lot of EVs out there, a lot of brand new stuff, cameras, different computer systems. Cars are a lot more expensive to fix and replace. So that's just that piece adding to the auto side. What else you have is, and it's not necessarily here in Nebraska, but California, Florida, you have these areas of the country that are just getting hit by catastrophic weather conditions, hurricanes, droughts, wildfires. Shoot, California went from drought to wildfire to flood, all in a very short amount of time. Now, what does that mean for somebody in Nebraska? Well, you would think not much. However, a lot of major carriers have been pulling out of these states because they don't want to renew, they don't want to pay claims in that state because it's a really heavy loss state. That does affect us in other places. Insurance companies are businesses just like everybody else. They try to balance their sheets. And with a lot of these catastrophic losses that we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, you're seeing that rebalance. You're seeing some premium come up. And a little bit more in the vein of Nebraska, we've had some storms in the last few years that have definitely caused some damage, and a flood recently too. So that's kind of a little bit more of the industry changing, and also, which you know very well, home valuations too. So
Right. Oh, anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to point out?
yeah, just really be a savvy consumer. Educate yourself on as much of this as possible. Understand that although prices are fluctuating quite a bit, the more shopping you do, the more you're going to get out of it, the more you're going to kind of get the big picture of it. And really at the end of the day, go with a company that is going to take care of you rather than the price. Because price sometimes will not get you completely satisfied.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, 100% get what you pay for. Yep.
For sure. All right, again, this is Ryan Mosley here with Ryan Rourke, and I will see you in the next video on financing your home.